Well, everything just got more bullish for Bitcoin than you could ever imagine. Believe it or not, we're just inches from this meme becoming reality.
We can put our savings in orange coin to rescue the US dollar and eliminate our national debt. Huge.
Sounds crazy, but we have the receipts and massive evidence that political, institutional, and nation-state Bitcoin game theory are about to hit escape velocity. And not to mention, Janet Yellen has issued a serious $34 trillion warning as Bitcoin is predicted to surge to $1 million. It is very likely that all models will be destroyed, and to the upside. I mean, we have an orange presidential candidate inquiring about how Bitcoin can save the US economy. You might want to buckle up because it looks like the simulation and the Omega candle have just been confirmed.
Party, that party. Yeah, come and have a good time with G.O.D.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht.
Hey, it looks like the orange dude really does like the orange coin and dislikes the geriatric woman that hates Bitcoin. Check and check. And that is just the beginning, my friends. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has issued a serious warning over the spiraling $34 trillion US debt pile that some think could catapult Bitcoin to $1 million over the next 18 months. I think Forbes has been watching Simply Bitcoin, but let's get into it. US debt interest payments alone are forecasted to hit $870 billion this year, and that's coming from the CBO. That looks like a massive hole and a loss that eventually has to be realized. And yes, the orange former US president and 2024 hopeful has reportedly asked if Bitcoin could be used to solve the US national debt problem. According to reporter Colin Wu, David Bailey, the chief executive of Bitcoin Magazine and aide of the Trump campaign, reportedly made the comments during a Sunday live broadcast on X. Bailey revealed that the first time he met Trump, he asked if Bitcoin could do anything about the $35 trillion debt. Well, that's probably nothing. But Bailey answered that he had some ideas, but was not prepared to discuss that topic during their first meeting. Now, first date, you gotta at least take him to dinner first, jeez. But after Bitcoin climbed through the end of last week in response to the positive legislative developments, you remember we covered that in Canada and throughout, but Bailey posted on X, and this is hilarious, it's important to call this the Trump pump. And not just those comments at the Libertarian National Convention, but Trump has began accepting Bitcoin. We know this. And he also said that Biden wants Bitcoin, quote, to die a slow, painful death. And he said this in a post, I'm very positive and open-minded to cryptocurrency companies and all things related to this new and burgeoning industry. He also added that he wants America to be number one.
If you ain't first, you're last.
What does Strike CEO Jack Mallers think of the news? Well, he says, I think we're still so early in the Bitcoin story, and I'm publicly on record saying I think Bitcoin hits 250K to 1 million this cycle. And now after all this, he's saying the next 10 to 18 months. Think I smell an Omega candle on the horizon. Guys, the truth is powerful, and we can see the people are starving for it and actively seeking it out like never before. It can't be stifled or stopped. That's why all of this is happening. Real story isn't who or what party or whatever. It's the fact that they have to embrace Bitcoin because of its benefits, because of its incentives, self-preservation, and the will to win. Where's Gordon Gekko at?
Greed is good.
That individual spirit to strive, to discover, to build, the road to the new American dream and out of CBDC tyranny and the digital panopticon, well, that starts with making money sound again. Maybe the orange man is waking up. Definitely more and more are every day to the fact the money is broken. We know how it ends. And the only way to protect yourself from hyperinflation, well, that's through hyper-Bitcoinization.
As these fiat money currencies around the world collapse in real time, and as these central banks are now exposed as having nothing on their balance sheet but hamster poop, people are realizing that super hyper-Bitcoinization is the way to fight super high hyperinflation. We're at the end game of the 300-year experiment of central banks. The inherent fraudulent models that run these big banks is come under the weight of its own fraud, and they're all collapsing, and Bitcoin was really invented as a central bank killer. So now it's Bitcoin's time.
Now, we got some interesting evidence that this major Bitcoin move may have been building since 2016. This is going to blow your mind. But before we jump into it, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsors, the Bitcoin Way, because the peaceful revolution is not possible without taking self-custody. Bringing over 25 years of experience in cybersecurity, the Bitcoin Way is your IT team in the Bitcoin world. They'll help take you from that why Bitcoin to the how Bitcoin, from setting up your first wallet node all the way up to inheritance planning, accepting Bitcoin payments for your business. They cover all aspects of Bitcoin security and privacy. They even work with their clients to configure routers, devices, and networks. Also, not to mention UTXO management, in short for everything in Bitcoin sovereignty and privacy related. They are your go-to source. Now guys, check this out. If you go back to 2016, Donald Trump announced an advisory committee with some big name CEOs. And I think we can scroll through some of the names there on the list. Now at that time and now I'm like, okay, is this an attempt at Galt's Gulch or like Mussolini's Madhouse? But things have changed a lot since then, massively, globally. And maybe Larry, Jamie, Peter Thiel, and Macaulay Culkin, well, it's highly likely that they've been in Trump's ear about Bitcoin. And speaking of Uncle Larry, institutional game theory is also going up bigly. See how the dominoes fall and trickle up? The Bitcoin ETF issuers now hold a record 5% of the total Bitcoin supply. BlackRock has added its own Bitcoin ETF to its income and bond funds, and in only 100 days, BlackRock has flipped GBTC to become the #1 Bitcoin ETF on the planet. Now, I think it's safe to say Larry has flipped from Bitcoin regard to Boltard, and pretty damn fast. You know, Biden may have been the most important president for Bitcoin. Because when you think about it, the Orange Man probably wouldn't have pivoted so hard without the administration's barrage of failed attacks against Bitcoin. You strike it down, it only grows back stronger. You see what happens when you attack Voltron? Not good, Cotton. So in short, guys, the money printer has returned massively. You're probably not bullish enough, and all nation states are waking up to the fact that they need Bitcoin. You better plan accordingly.
We approach it from a very high level, and we try to align the incentives of the governments with what Bitcoin could do for them. Tangible near-term things that can be of immediate benefit to those countries. So as an example, we met with the president of Colombia. I don't think they're going to implement a Bitcoin legal tender law anytime soon or adopt Bitcoin as money, but he does have emissions targets that he wants to meet. So we talked a lot about how Bitcoin as an ESG-friendly technology can help them reduce flare gas and methane emissions. These are sort of the angles we approach. What can Bitcoin do for you? If you're a developing country and you have a massive amount of energy reserves, then we might come at it from an angle of you can tap into Bitcoin and mine Bitcoin and sell it to buy people to build roads, airports, a rail transit system, whatever you need. It's always focused on what Bitcoin can help them with what they are concerned about, rather than Bitcoin is the best form of money ever and there is no second best and you need it now or else you're going to have fun staying poor.
What else are you gonna do? Get your bum scanned by the feds and their CBDC? No thank you. I say we choose to go to the moon. What do you say, America? Think we're knocking on Satoshi's door. The Omega candle is in the bullpen warming up as we speak. What are you doing? You better be stacking. We get a lot more coming your way. In the meantime, you can check out this bullish action. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter for all the latest breaking Bitcoin news. And don't miss the #1 live Bitcoin only news show on YouTube. Simply Bitcoin Live, coming at you Monday through Friday at 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.